how can you prepare home buyers or homeowners, when they're buying their house?
So part of my role in it is I want them to get in touch with me pretty early in the process. I'm not the type who pushes people to, oh, now you told me that you want to buy a house.
And we are back, and here he is, realty expert John Brodeen.
Hey.
Hey. How you doing, man?
Good.
How's life treating you? It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Dylan's getting bigger and learning more words by the day.
Wow.
And we got our baby number 2 is coming in like less than 2 months here.
Holy. Do you know what baby number 2 is?
Girl.
Yep, it is.
Girl.
Okay.
So 2 girls.
Okay. Are you going to give it one more shot?
Probably not, honestly. I'm happy with 2 girls.
Absolutely.
If
Absolutely.
she's anything like Dylan, then we'll have it made.
All right. Well, good.
Yeah.
Anything new coming up in the future? I know we were talking fights again coming up here in October in Grand Forks. Be kind of cool to watch.
I think that's October 19th. I'll be there. No, nothing really too crazy.
Are you going to be a corner man again?
I don't know if I'm going to be this time around. Maybe.
Okay.
If one of the guys asks me, I'll do it. But otherwise, I'll just be there watching as a fan. So
okay.
We've got, I think, 4 of our guys competing on
all right.
that card,
Do you ever get the itch to get back in the ring?
No, not really. I mean, sometimes I do as the events get closer, but obviously that's not a decision you can make. Unless they call me up for some short notice thing, I've got a couple nagging injuries too. I found out that my shoulder's screwed up. I had an MRI on last Friday. I can
the wear and
still
tear
do stuff. I've still been training. I heard it like a month and a half ago, but I don't know. I have mixed feelings on that. I certainly spar with the guys who are fighting and help them get ready.
Sure.
So
sure,
I like doing that.
Well, I guess we could talk about some realty stuff.
Yeah.
One thing, people, if you're going to buy a house, especially first-time home buyers, a lot of people don't realize all the things that there is to do, all the things that need to be done, the things realty experts are there for.
Yeah.
How can you prepare homeowners to have more success when they're buying a house? Because a lot of people, especially people like me, I'm a procrastinator. I wait till the last minute.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I learned the hard way that's not a good thing to do. But how can you prepare home buyers or homeowners, when they're buying their house?
So part of my role in it is I want them to get in touch with me pretty early in the process. I'm not the type who pushes people to, oh, now you told me that you want to buy a house. Like, let's, I'm not going to push people into moving early. I'd rather help them in those early stages, get ready and get prepared. And
so what do you consider early? Say if I want to buy a house in 6 months.
It depends.
Or within the next year.
So if you've got a situation where you still need to save up the money for your down payment and closing costs, you're talking about you're quite a ways out.
Sure.
If you need to save up $20,000, you might be year and a half out maybe or something like that. If you've got changes you've got to make getting your credit score up, that could take 6 months to a couple years too, depending on where it's at. So I've helped people out that early. If you know your credit score is solid and you're almost to where you need to be as far as saving up to have funds for down payment and closing costs, even 3 months prior to when you'd like to start home shopping, it's not a bad idea. So some things that even if maybe they haven't reached out to me or for the people out there who have a goal of buying their first house, some things that you really want to take care of to make sure that you are a well prepared home buyer. Get your finances in order. So save up enough money for your down payment and closing costs. That's something where they can talk to me or talk to a lender or both to figure out exactly how much they're going to need.
And you can steer them towards a great lender.
Yep, exactly. I've got, I've worked with almost all of them here in town, and I can definitely give them a list of the good ones. Making sure your credit score is where it needs to be. So check your credit report using one of the free apps. Make sure there's no errors on there, no issues. And if it does look like there's a problem where your score isn't where it needs to be, I can give you some advice. Most lenders can give you some advice on what you need to do to get your score where it needs to be.
Okay.
And you can also do your own research on, the internet of how to get your credit score up, because it's definitely possible to get your score up.
Okay.
you're going to want to, this is the thing that also takes a little bit of time. You want to carefully analyze your budget to figure out what house payment you could comfortably afford. You can go by some of these guideline rule of thumbs where you don't want your house payment to be more than 25 or 30% of your after-tax monthly income. So you can use those sort of things as a guide. If you're lower income or you're in a more expensive area, those aren't like hard and fast rules. Sometimes you might have to break them in order to buy your first house if you're either lower income or you live in an expensive area. But it's good to know some of those guidelines. I'm happy to provide those to people. You want to consult with a lender, get pre-approved well ahead of time. You don't want to save that for the last minute. And you want to find out, you've maybe figured out what your target payment is. You want to figure out what price range of home corresponds with that monthly payment, right? Your lender is going to be able to help you kind of work backwards that way and figure out what price you want to be in. Let's say you want to spend between $1,700 and $2,000 a month on your mortgage payment. They're going to help you figure out, okay, what price range are you going to be looking in order to hit that goal?
Sure. I mean, you still need to be able to live also, so you got to remember that.
Yep. And the one thing to remember, the maximum amount that the bank is going to qualify you for is probably more home than you can comfortably afford.
Sure.
So, the bank, I'm not saying this about our local mortgage lenders who are the loan originators, but when the bank's underwriting process, they want to make sure that you can make that payment, but they don't need to make sure that you can afford to go out to dinner twice a month.
They don't care.
They don't. Yeah. So they just want to make sure that they're going to get paid and that you have enough to get paid. But what you need to look out for is make sure that that you're still going to have enough money to get by and have a nice quality of life.
Sure.
So you don't want to overspend on this. That's why it's really important to spend some time and do your budget and figure out, make a wise decision with the price range that you choose. And then this other part of that is consulting with me and figuring out, based on your needs and wants, is that price range realistic? Or do we have to adjust your price range a little bit to hit your needs and wants? Or do we need to compromise a little bit on your needs and wants to fit that price range? So usually it's maybe a combination of the two. But that's where I can tell you what you can really realistically expect to get at different price ranges. That's something I know like the back of my hand, and I'm happy to help out people with. So reasons that this is so important to be prepared. You don't have to rush if you go ahead and you start this early. If you have to rush through this process, you could be skipping some of these steps or maybe miss important details when you're figuring out what payment you could afford. You're not doing your budget properly. You rush through it, and maybe you're not sure when it comes time that you are buying a house. Maybe you're not sure if you rush all this, if you can afford this house or not, which is going to cause you a lot of distress, give you buyer's remorse. It's a huge decision. It's something you should plan to be in for the long run, 5+ years ideally. So you really need to make sure that you can afford this thing, that you're going to be comfortable. So don't rush through those steps. Don't skip any of those steps. The other thing is, if you wait until the last minute to get in touch with your lender and get in touch with your realtor, you're missing out on a lot of value. You could potentially lose your dream home if you can't get your pre-approval done in time. And then the other thing is, what if you found some issues with the way your income is being calculated or with your credit report that make it so you can't get approved, and you've been shopping online for this whole time, you finally found the perfect house, and then you realize, oh, wait, I could have had this credit issue cleared up if I would have started working on that 6 months ago, but I didn't find out about it until today. So do things in the right order. Do these steps before you begin shopping for a home instead of after you find the perfect home, and you'll be much better off.
Well, the thing is, it's not like buying the wrong steak and saying, I wish I wouldn't have bought that steak next time I know better. Yeah. We're talking about something, realistically, and even kind of in the low numbers here, if your mortgage is, between $15,000 and $2,000 a month, that's a lot of money for a long time if you're not happy with it and you're going to be struggling. So, if you really want to be happy with a house, and maybe it'll be forever, your forever home, maybe not, but you better have your poop in a group.
Yeah, how much you're spending on housing is a huge piece of your personal financial situation. The house you're living in is it's a major part of your life. It's what you go home to every night. You don't want to, maybe you could have spent more in order to get your needs and wants, but you didn't figure this out properly, and you bought a house that you end up outgrowing in 2 years or something, even though you could have comfortably afforded more. That's things I help you think through, but it's something that home buyers need to put some serious thought into ahead of time too, because it's such a big decision. You don't want to make an impulse decision with a home purchase. The more of an impulse decision you make and the more you rush, the more likely you are to experience some buyer's remorse. Everybody experiences some degree of buyer's remorse after you've signed the contract and you've agreed
absolutely
to buy a house, because it's scary. It's a big commitment. But the more prepared you are, the more sure of your budget that you are, the more in touch with the market that you are to make to know that this is the best possible house I could have gotten for this price. Those sort of things will put your mind at ease. And, just know that everybody does experience some buyer's remorse, some fear of commitment with this whole thing. But you can reduce it by making sure you don't make an impulse decision on something. Look at it critically. Other people have the opposite problem where they have a very hard time pulling the trigger on anything, even if it was perfect for them. They always convince themselves that somehow there's something better out there. So if that's your issue, that's a whole different, whole opposite spectrum of problems that comes with that. And you definitely can't have that. Eventually you are going to have to kind of take a leap of faith and commit to something. But for the people who are prone to making impulse quick decisions and rushing things, it's definitely good to slow down. Don't look at the house through rose-colored glasses thinking everything's perfect. Slow down, be critical, look at the whole picture, understand, the flaws, make sure that you understand what you're getting into before making that final decision.
And John, when they say if somebody comes to you and they're in the process of trying to buy a home, you're not going to tell them something that you're just making up. No. I mean, that's why you guys are the realty experts. Yeah. That's why you're telling people if you're going to be able to buy a house, man, 3 months, you better be getting a hold of somebody because. I mean, the rose-colored glasses, when you said that really nailed it. And it's happened a million times. But, folks, again, like me, when we bought my last house, we've been there for 20 years now. I figured this was going to be one of my forever homes until we finally downsized. But, boy, that's a long time to spend somewhere if you're not liking it and you're not happy and you can't afford it or you can't do anything because you're paying for a house.
Yeah, 100%. And getting in touch with me early is important too, because I like to do more than just open doors for people and show up and then when they want to write an offer, say how much and just do the paperwork. I like to educate people on the process, educate them on the market. So I want them to know as much as possible going in so they feel confident and prepared. If you call me on a Saturday and say, hey, we just got pre-approved, we saw this house and we want to buy it right now, like you're missing out on a whole lot of my services if that's the way you choose to use me. If you would have called me, 3 weeks prior to that, and we could have, I could have probably helped you out a lot in that amount of time. So,
well, in this short little podcast, we have talked about finances, credit scores, analyzing budgets, approvals from lenders, all these things. Like you just said, you don't just open doors and show houses. There's a reason why you are a realty expert. Folks, if you're ready to buy a home, are you prepared? You better find out. How do you get a hold of you, realty expert, John Brodin?
Yeah, my cell phone number, 701-213-5428. Check me out on all the social media channels. Posting videos multiple times a week, helping out home buyers and sellers out there. That's another way you can get prepared. Check out my channels and, listen to the content that I have on there because I give important things that I've seen multiple times that are going to help buyers and sellers.
All right. Well, there you go. Again, prepared home buyers have more success. That's your Berkshire Hathaway bi-weekly podcast. That's your Wednesday edition with realty expert John Brodin. We'll be back again Friday morning at 10. Till then, have yourself a great day.